for being with us again. It's been such a pleasure having doing this every Sunday as much as possible when we're not on break. We do this all the time when we come together to discuss goings-ons in our nation, Nigeria, and of course across the world as well, where we discuss matters of great of public importance and join our voices, add our voices to the conversation out there generally, because I always say to people that there are quite a lot of things we can do nothing about, but the things we can do things about, we can join in those conversations. We can add our voices to what people are talking about. We can make our voices heard. It is our right. We have every right to have our voices heard on these matters. So I want to welcome you on tonight. I am joined on the webinar tonight by two discussants at first. So I've got the Secretary General of our organization. I've got Comrade Chola Fayemi. You're welcome, a former student union president. And I've got, of course, Comrade Abiola Olaiwola, a former student union activist himself, and a very, very articulate activist as well. So, and tonight we'll be x-raying the 1 year of the new republic, in terms of the President Tinubu led federal government, and of course we've got state governors across the 36 states of Nigeria, and of course we've got the FCT, we've got those in charge of the FCT as well and everything. So I know it makes sense to leave out the local government, even though I want us to touch on local governments even as we begin to discuss these things, because there's currently a case before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, I believe on Friday, reserved judgment in the case instituted by the federal government against the 36 governors of the 36 states of Nigeria in terms of local government autonomy. And of course, there's that suggestion in the Senate that maybe the National Assembly should promulgate a law withholding certain aspects of the state revenue and all those things, if and when they do not allow democracy to thrive at the grassroots. Of course, that's a question of, is it enough for the National Assembly to legislate about it, or is this something that would actually need to pass as a proper constitutional amendment, where you have to go through the National Assembly and 2/3 of the state assemblies in Nigeria, maybe a public hearing as well, as is normal with our constitutional reviews. So, but tonight we're just going to jump into this, because tonight we're having a compressed event. That reminds me. Let me say to everyone out there, Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. We want to say to you that we appreciate you. Thank you for always joining us, always being part of our conversations, and of course, today as well, apart from being, it's also Salah Day for our Muslims, our Muslim brethren. So, is congratulating all our Muslim brethren, wishing you. I know some of you are actually eating your meat right now and drinking as you're watching this. Just make sure that portion of the meat that you save some and you courier it to some of us. But is wishing you on a serious note. Is wishing you happy Salah, and is wishing everyone happy Father's Day. And of course, Democracy Day was just a few days ago, and so it makes sense to also say Happy Democracy Day to every one of us. So we're just going to kickstart things. We're going to go on straight away. Let me start with you, Comrade Chola Fayemi. Putting on your Aluta headsets, how would you rate democracy in the last 1 year? Federal, state, general, since May 29, it's already over 1 year now. How do you rate it? Have they succeeded? Have they failed? What are the areas where they've succeeded? What are the areas where they failed? What have they done wrong? What are the things they've done right? What would you like to see? But let's evaluate even first. What is your evaluation?
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Convener. I want to sincerely join my voice with yours in wishing all our Muslim brethren happy Easter celebration. may we witness more of this season on earth. And at the same time, I wish all our fathers and also intending fathers happy Father's Day. The topic under discussion is a very pivotal and a key one to the sustainers of our democracy. And most of all, I met Tinubu-led federal government in the last 1 year. And we can't do that without proper what really happened from May 29th, 2023, which transitioned to where we are, because we cannot be talking of the present with the future. And at the same time, what we are doing in the present, we also determine what we're also going to, to get. We have to, it was a step in the right direction, because over time, we are aware of, the corruption surrounding the payment of petroleum subsidy, remissions and all of that. There has been counter-reaction from NNPC, alleging that remission were not properly done. Over time too, and even from the history and how well we've been having agitations about the payment of subsidy revenues and all of that, that it has become a bane and a cog in the wheel of progress of our nation, and is a pipe in which corruption has been properly siphoned by the people at the table of affairs. And because of that, many people have braced and also supported the removal of fuel subsidy by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And we should not also forget that immediately after the removal, people, were consoled to also believe that fact, that we have to go through the pain for us to also see the gains, that the pain must be properly, gone through, and we must try to endure the pain of the initial pain and initial gragra of that subsidy removal, which we knew and are optimistic that it's going to birth better welfare, better amenities, and a way of life, and a good way of life for Nigerians. And if all of us could also recall, immediately after that, there was also what we call the floating of the exchange window into collapse into what we call IIE window, in such a way that the government wanted, they felt the initiative was to regulate the floating exchange rates into a situation where a winning buyer can always approach a winning seller, and based on that, felt also that the naira is going to be normalized. And away from that, we also saw the increase in electricity tariff, has been initiated by the government. What I'm just trying to do is to take us through the journey of some of the policies or what we've experienced in the last 1 year, which, led us to where we are currently. We had electricity tariff at a time to also increased, and because of that, the effect of the removal of subsidy, on the naira floating and all of that, it also, led to the increase in the inflation rate. The prices of good and commodities in the market have skyrocketed. Now we are beginning to buy 5-6 pieces of tomato at 1,500 in the market. A piece of tilapia fish is going for like 5,000 naira just a piece, and a tuber of yam currently is going for like 5,000 naira. So all of that, we're beginning to see that in the increased inflation rate. And again, that and the effect and the proportionate forces of the removal of subsidy, the inflation rate and all of that has also weakened the purchasing power of the citizens. Now, if you take 100,000 naira into any market in Nigeria, I can bet you are not going to buy more than 20, 15 items. A carton of Indomie now is sold for over 12,000 naira and all of that. So we now have citizens with weakened purchasing power. And that we have also increase in exchange interest rates, and the exchange rate at a time too got as high as 1,700 naira to a dollar, and all of that. We had pounds to over 2,000 naira. So currently, even in the exchange rate, we have pounds exchanging as 1,850 to 1,900 naira to a naira. So as we are right now, and those other ingredients and factors are also being responsible for our low GDP. As we speak in the country in the last year, our GDP rate has also reduced. Our foreign cash reserve has also reduced. So all of these had the effect and the negative things that citizens have felt in the last 1 year. But we cannot be talking of the negative without also trying as much as possible to balance what we've experienced. So we need to also give kudos to the president and where he has done very well. And many of us who recently plied Lagos to Ibadan Expressway can also attest to that fact, that road, which we've been on for several years, was recently completed under the same administration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. First now can travel from Lagos to Ibadan within 30 to 45 minutes. And if you're looking at that, you can also speak to the positive influence and intervention in the housing sector. The government has also tried as much as possible to dedicate a huge amount of money so as to resolve the housing deficit and the crisis being confronted by the citizens. I'm sure that the Ministry of Housing and also the board responsible for that are working on a very powerful framework so as to address the housing problem, confronted by the citizens. The minister and all of that have visited so many states in the country to see how they can also put this in place. And at the same time, we also saw so many fiscal reforms and policy from CBN, which many of us believed that those are steps in the right direction so as to regulate our financial sector and to put an economy on a sad note of sustainability and progress. So we cannot undermine that responsibility and shy away from that fact that the government, particularly the CBN, are also trying to fine-tune and give us policies, the fiscal policies that will, put an economic footprint in the sand of time. And also, if you also look at the economic reforms also being made by the president, there are sound economic reforms being currently made by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And people also felt that we might not be beginning to effect against of these reforms right now, but we just need to endure for a while. And the resultant effect and the positive outcome of all of these reforms will also be felt by us. And another development which you also need to, give kudos to the president on is also on the issue of student loans. Student loans was recently introduced where they felt they must be able to offer reliefs and assistance to citizens who are students of a tertiary institution in form of grants, in form of loans, so as to make their educational dreams and pursuit a reality. So these and many others are things which we also need to applaud and the steps taken by the government. And away from that, you can also be aware that we should also be aware that sometimes in April this year, there were food distributions across the senatorial district. The senators were saddled with the responsibility of going to the senatorial districts to give food items to people so as to ameliorate and lower the suffering, to cushion the effect of, inflation and the suffering that hunger that has been ravaging in our society. These and many more are what the government has also done right. But I want us to critically understand some certain parameters. That where citizens are hungry, where the purchasing power of the people are weakened, where the unemployment rate is on the increase, where inflation is on the high side, where citizens are finding it difficult to take 3 square meals, where poverty has been weaponized in a particular system, it is mostly difficult for people to see the positive side of that economy. If we need to understand the basic fact, that has been enshrined in the section 14, subsection 2B of the Constitution, which many of us at every point in time always quote out to our leaders, that the purpose and the primary aim of establishing any government is to prioritize the welfare and the security of the people. And where that welfare is now questioned, where the security is not properly provided, people will not see even the good sides or whatever the government feel or they felt over and they are doing. And if you listen in the last 1 or 2 weeks or the last couple of days to speeches made by President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in fact, they are uprising and they are reassuring, confirming to us that these pains are just for limited number of times. We just have to give the government enough time for them to right the wrongs, that Nigeria has been bastardized, Nigeria has been deeply wounded, in the past administration of PDP and APC combined, and that is the kind of the system is currently in a surgical ward trying to perform operation, on the status and the state of Nigeria economy and the Nigeria state as a whole. So we cannot shy away from all of that fact. But like I stated, where hunger is ravaging, where unemployment rate is high, where inflation rate is crazy, people cannot begin to see the good of the government. And you cannot tell an hungry man that the nation is going to work. You cannot tell somebody who cannot afford to pay the school fees of his award in the schools that everything is going to be right with him or her. So our nations, you just need to change the understanding of our people. Our leadership need to understand the terrain and the body language of the people. There must be, in as much that we understand that it's not going to be an immediate gratification and gains to all of this, we have to also look at what are we going to do in the immediate terms, what are we going to do in the medium terms, and what is going to be the long-term effect. Since wait years before they beginning to see the dividends of most of these actions. So there are some we can quickly address, and there are some that I feel, the government need to look into it. For example, when we are beginning to get from subsidy, at a time they just felt, okay, after most of these gains that have been accrued by the government, what they needed to do was to start sharing monies to most of these governors, increasing allocation of the local government and all of that. When people felt, oh, this allocation and these excesses that we've saved from subsidy could as well be judiciously utilized, there must be mandates to the state governments. Many of them are actually currently utilizing the money for the benefits of their residents and constituents, while many of them are at the same time smiling to banks. We've seen cases who paid school fees in advance for his ward. We've seen cases of people who are investing in the state coffers and all of that. So government must see beyond just sharing money to the state government, while also we citizens must make it a point of duty of holding our leaders accountable. Many of these state governors are very rich. Many of them they've had increase in their allocation, and with nothing or something to write home about or to justify the increase in all of this pay. So we need to start holding them accountable. We need to start seeing the benefit of the dividend of democratic legislators from people. Some of them were also giving rice in April. Some constituents, some people delivered it to their constituents, and some other people also diverted siphoned into their party lawyers and all of that. So we are beginning to see some kind of leadership maladministration, at all levels in our country. And these are the things I feel a purposive leadership. So look at the mid-term, the middle term, and also the long term of meeting the need and expectation of the citizens. Thank you, sir.
Wow, that was in fact, if the president and his team were listening to that, they would be like, is this man for us or against us? And that was really balanced. That was it was deep. It was hard hitting, not sparing the government in the areas where they probably are not doing well enough, but at the same time, going very well to actually commend them for things they've done well. I believe our DSG has rejoined, so I'll go to him and then we'll go to Comrade Olaiwola shortly after. DSG, let's have the 1 year of return of democracy in Nigeria. The federal government, state governments, what is the state of play? What are your thoughts? What are their successes and their failures? And what do you think? What do you think is the gain that the people have gotten out of this new dispensation since we elected new leaders in 2023?
Good evening, the convener.
Good evening.
Members of this in this meeting this evening. I think I joined the secretary again in the middle of the submission, and I quite agree with all of those things that you have mentioned. We've been able to see the green light in the area of construction, in the area of road, and in one or two other policies. We have seen, like it just informed us that Lagos-Ibadan now, the Lagos-Ibadan expressway is that you can now pass down Ibadan within 40-45 minutes. So I think that this will have, an effect, a positive effect on other areas of life. In terms of even down to agriculture, and some other products that are transported, between it doing so well. The Minister of what's it called? What is him? This former governor.
Minister of Works.
Umahi.
Yes, David Umahi. So I think that he's a minister that knows what he's saying and who is really committed, to revolutionize, our good infrastructure. So there are been some positives, in that ministry. There is also, other things that we have seen, from the minister of from Ondo State, minister of
Interior, Tunjojo.
My head now, yes, from the minister of Interior. So, and people have said that, from their assessment that it seems to be, the star, the star of this administration. But there are other people also. And, but then, what of all these things that we are continuing to see, I want to start seeing, and I believe that some of us also, this is what we want to start seeing. We want to start seeing all these things, translating, into good things on the street. We want to see the price of commodities getting down. We want to see Nigerians, and when I say Nigerians, I mean those who are below the middle class. We want to see the civil servants. We want to see those who barely cannot afford to eat 2 meals in a day, even 1 meal. They can barely eat 1 meal a day. We want to start seeing them now, being able to afford all of these things. Good roads, some of these good policies, you cannot process your passport within 1 week, within 2 weeks. Some of these things, the security is being reduced. You can see some of it. These things have good access to quality education. People want to be able to eat 2-3 times in a day. People want to be happy. People want to have stable power supply. People want to be secured, want to be able to travel at all times, whether in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the night, and they feel safe. These are the things, and these are the major issues. So, but I hope that I know that Nigerians are really yearning for, and I hope that some of the policies and the ongoing initiative, of this government, will eventually use. But by and large, I think there are some positives. The knocks are much now, but the knocks definitely will not go down, until Nigerians begin to see, practically, some of these dividends, affecting their own.
Wow. Thank you so much. I think that's the shortest contribution I've ever heard from the DSG. Usually it's more forthright, So I think, well, it does seem to, he has said that it does align very much with quite a lot of the views of the Secretary General. So let's go to PLIDE. It's Olaiwola there. PLIDE Olaiwola, let's get your views on this. 1 year of democracy in Nigeria. I think we've lost your video feed. I don't know if that's intentional or if that's accidental, but we've lost video feed from you. What are your thoughts?
Good evening once again.
Go on.
I just think the administration have not done quite 100% well. Maybe I can score the administration 45% from my own side. Having said that, I think by and large, for a very long time, Nigeria have been living in a deceitful lifestyle, whereby we believe that indeed we are rich, yes, but is the wealth really on the table to evaluate? If Saudi Arabia are pumping close to 12,000 barrels of oil into the world market, and with less population of 50 million, and we are pumping of close to over 200 million, which me personally I don't believe it's the so-called 200 million we are claiming, to me is fraud, because I have the experience sometimes during the Obasanjo region when they are doing the census. I was traveling to Abuja and Kogi, and having a stopover at Kogi, they want to count me by force as to be part of Kogi, and I told them I'm just a passerby, I'm just having stopover. They say no, I should please, I should let them count me. So then, because of this, national cake-off issue, many local governments just cook up figures and take it to the distance, because they higher the number they declare, the higher the allocation that will come down. So sometimes I just some so-called analysts and statisticians just punching us with figures, 200,000, 200 million, 220 million. I just laugh that we are deceiving ourselves. We are deceiving ourselves in almost every area of life. Almost every area of life. It's only in Nigeria that electricity is being subsidized. In Nigeria, and the citizens still refuse that government is doing anything for them. Education subsidized. Government still believe government is not doing anything for them. If he asks every Nigerian student, they say government is not doing anything. Government is not doing anything. But ask them, on the average, how much should the student be paying? If a private university, if it's university to be run independently, a student should not be paying less than 1.something million for education. But today, if your university you're not paying 150, 200,000, that means that government has paying differential for you. That's why sometimes you have exercise ASU strike, whereby ASU want to reclaim back their so-called differences, where the government has not allowed them to get free and to charge. But if you ask an average Nigerian student, they will tell you Nigeria has not done anything for them. The government is useless. The government is not doing anything. In the area of dollar to float into, you look at it sometimes, do we need to float dollar? Some everyone are shouting, pain and lecture center. It is normal because we've not been living in this lifestyle before. Even when we think things were worse then, when we think government is not doing anything, the reality is setting in now that in this, it may not have been done enough, but in the past, 1 or 2 interventions has been on the table for us to take from government, which as a citizen we refuse to realize, we refuse to appreciate, and we refuse to take into account and extend the same love and the same passion to our country and to our fellow citizens. We all have our responsibility. If we haven't taken away the subsidy, now there's not enough money on the table to share. How much are the governors utilizing this money? Almost everybody want to build roads. It's fine, but why are we not putting up our scale of preference? What is the major challenges we are facing now as a country? It is hunger. It is fire. It's more like famine. Why are we not having a national policy where states will deliberately go into mass agriculture? Looking at the state peculiarity, any state that is sound, is soil is good on rice, beans, fruits, what have you. Government should get serious, but because of this mentality of this federal, this thing that we've always have in the past, everything is president. And I think the takeaway for me, what I think this president is trying to also do is to restructure this country. But if it's coming out in a clear terms that I want to restructure, definitely is not going to see the light of the day. But I think he's introducing it stylishly to the system by this state police, by going to court to fight for autonomy of what's it called, of local government. Because if we restructure this country, if we involve more power to states without clearly define the role of local government, there will still be crisis. So that is the reason why before we involve power back to state again, we must also well define the position and the responsibility of local government, which makes the president to still go back to court, to the Supreme Court, which we are waiting the judgment anywhere from now, to get us definitions and the clear stance of local government in terms of their autonomy. And having said that, I also think that there's also a bill now at National Assembly which is looking at we tapping into the untapped resources that has been taken over by mafians. Like Dangote said sometimes ago, if you hold Dangote, let me diverse a little. If Dangote independent, we can imagine the frustration even from this. And according to Dangote, he said both internal and external mafians are really dealing with this big giant that's supposed to rise. And indeed, they don't have option because we are already on the path of rising, and surely we are going to rise. So going back to my earlier point, which is on the issue of gold, there's a this thing sponsored by Natasha Nakpoti on we tapping into our gold, having a agency for gold, which means that if that can also be brought into the national distance, it will also going to help. We will not be looking at oil alone, because this population, oil alone cannot sustain us. We need to tap into agriculture massively. We need to tap into gold. We need to tap into iron oil, into all and tappable natural resources God has given to us for us to be able to, to do well for ourselves. But I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Having said that, to me, I think a lot has been done. I see this government succeed for now and give it the government 45%. I was disappointed on the Independent Day because I expected it to have been a day where Nnamdi Kanu should have been declared free, at least to assuage the security challenge on this thing, and having be a day of freedom. It's supposed to be a symbol of today. Indeed, is a freedom. So it's supposed to be a day where he's supposed to have declared Nnamdi Kanu free of all charges, even if it is for political solution, for us to have a relative calm in some part of the country. At least that will send a message that Ashwabola Tinubu is not a president of the Yoruba, but a president for all, at least on that note. And I think on the area of the exchange rate, Ashwabola is really dealing with a lot of people. We don't just know. some people are not happy at all, because the people that are not happy are people who sit in the corner of their rooms and determines the exchange rate at will, and still go to government and collect the differentials from government. And some Igbo guys will collect it and go and buy goods and still take it and come back to sell it. And those who are really working are the ones, running around the street to go and be buying and selling, while people who are really taking this thing of their labor are just sitting down somewhere. We all know them. I don't want to make mention. Sitting down and dictating the ST, because is what you are giving to buy is what you are going to use to buy and get back to the system. Those people have been dealing with seriously now, and I believe they are not happy. A lot of people are happy. A lot of powerful people are not happy, and I believe the masses will be happy at the end of the tour. Thank you, and have a wonderful deliberation ahead.
Thank you so much. I really want to thank you. Thank you for you've been very forthcoming, all three of you, in terms of and I like the different perspectives you've taken this. But I'm going to actually put each of you on the spot now, and I'm going to go to the section now, because you are a finance expert. How would you rate government? Because, or maybe before I do that, before I come to you, or let's do it, and we can go to PLIDE Olayiwola later. He did mention about that maybe there is a clique, a cabal that benefits illicitly from the forex market. Now, let me put you on the spot. The president's economic team devalued the currency, the government, the administration. Well, they did not devalue, apologies. Basically, they tried to ensure that the arbitrage and everything was gone, so that the value, the currency will find its value. And somehow, if you're looking at black market and even official market rate for pound sterling, for dollars, they seem to have stabilized somehow. I mean, you know that the pound sterling is between 1,750, 1,800, 1,009. It's not even getting to now that it will go, it will come, it will go, it will come. And then you find the dollar as well, 1,350, 1,450 in some place, and it does appear. Do you see that as the real value of the currency, or do you think the value is still overvalued or undervalued, or do you suppose that people are still living off arbitrage, or are we finally getting there? Or do you think that we've actually embarked on a journey of no return that would be of no benefit to the masses and to our country as well? Over to you. Judging from the fact that we've always been an import-dependent nation anyway, and most of all our exports, the vast percentage of our export actually have always come from oil, and little in the area of non-oil exports. So, let me ask you this question.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Convener. And I want to also appreciate my other in-house leaders who lent their voices on the topic under discussion. Based on the question you asked, I want us to look at it in from different angles. When the exchange rate window was collapsed into I&E, we saw at that time, many felt it's going to normalize the exchange rate. It will ensure that it's going to be a dictate and a system of a willing buyer and willing seller, where negotiation will have to play a very critical role in arriving at the exchange rate. And they also felt that the market forces will no longer dictate the rates, and the effects on the exchange rate will also be minimal. But however, we are beginning to see the reverse in the case of that policy. If all of us could recall critically, as of last year, $1 to Naira was less than 850 Naira. At a time, it skyrocketed to 1,000. And immediately after, it jumped after 1,000. We've not been able to, reduce it $1 to Naira below 1,250 Naira. Even at a time, and if all of us critically monitor CBN website, there was a time too, they were also adjusting the website on a 2-day basis. And if you also critically look at it, the adjustment of the rate from the CBN website also affected the import duty, which were being paid by Nigerians on items imported into the country. And most of these effects could not be taken away from the fact that many of these global conglomerates who are also doing fairly well in the country, in the last 1 year, we can count a number of them that are shut down operation. Many of them has divested their investment. Many of them are also looking at, many of them have, taken a path where they've left the shore of the country neutrality. Some could also say that most of these countries, hitherto, were not primarily contributing something tangible, or their effects were not known economically to the nation, forgetting that fact that they provided employment, forgetting that fact that most of the items they were being provided were also being consumed by the people in this country, and forgetting that fact too, that they also had their way of contributing, directly or indirectly to their, FS stability in the country. Because if we are looking at a nation who are majorly import denominated country, in which our level of production is considerably low to what we produce, how do we want our foreign reserve to increase? If we are continually going into our foreign reserve to get some money to cushion and to probably stabilizes the FS market, how sustainable is that system? How sustainable is that policy? At a time, you see CBN saying they want to try to offset some bills, they want to try to offset, the backlog of some expenses. They will put like $2 billion into the economy. And if you look at it, at those period of time, the exchange rate will drastically go down, maybe with like 100 naira to 200 naira in the rate to dollar. But give it 3 weeks, these things will naturally go into the effect and dictate of the market and go back to where it was. What are we trying to say? That we don't need palliative, we don't need some sudden, and such effect on intervention in FS market, but rather our government must look at a way of strengthening the production sector. Our government must look at a way of divesting the economy of this country away from being predominantly dependent on oil production. Nigeria is a rich nation. We have so many things we can do. We have so many human and natural resources that can be harvested and as well be exported for revenue generation for this country. But our leaders are not looking in that direction. And many of us are now beginning to wonder, how do you expect the exchange rate to be normalized when the nation, even at every point in time, depend on importation for us to meet the need and the requirement of the local market? These are many other factors that cannot immediately come into play. And when at a time too, the government said, okay, fine, they want to ensure and empower the BDC to be able to treat, the invisible transactions if you want to buy. But as we speak right now, how many Bureau de Change has processed school fees for Nigeria? How many Nigerians have approached BDC to prove their medical bills, to process their school fees abroad? Most of these guys, the policies are just currently being somersaulted. We are not seeing the resultant effect of this policy. It is a fantastic procedure for them to have tried as much as possible to have regulated the operation of the BDC, just to ensure that Tom, Dick, and Harry in the street of any sabo in our nations or in our capital cities are not trading in dollars. But nevertheless, how well are we, ensuring that these policies are having the resultant effect in the life of an average Nigeria? We have the enough FS to meet the demands and regular supply of FS to the BDC and the banks. How much are we giving them on a weekly basis? Do our production or what we are getting to the system enough to meet the demand in the market? In as much that our supply is a shortfall to the demand, there will always be a problem. In as much the nation does not have enough effort to meet the local demand of the producers, of the marketers, of the production sector, of the need of the people in paying for FX, in paying for invisible transactions and all of that, there will always be a problem. So what we have right now are just the government trying to put palliative measures, giving them a cosmetic approach. to regulating the FS rate. This is not sustainable. That is why where we are right now, when it's going towards the weekend of any week, you know, the pounds will just come down with like 20, 30 naira. But when it gets to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the preceding week, it also stand, you know, it bounces back into the previous thing. And if the government felt over time too that this it has stabilized, but nevertheless it has not gone below 1,850, they will also look at giving a palliative intervention of putting some money or probably offsetting some the backlogs, and it will come down to 1,006, 1,003, 1,500. But this is not sustainable. We cannot grow a nation like that. We need to look into, you know, we need to diversify the economy. We need to look at agriculture. We need to look into manufacturing. Our guys, our brothers in Naba are highly knowledgeable. They are skilled so as to produce the replicate of TM Lewin. They can produce a replicate of Timberland. How are we enhancing their human capacity? How are we, you know, investing?
And you say we should encourage them to be doing to be reproducing those things, because
we are not saying they want.
Offense.
They are not. No, I'm not talking of encouraging them. I'm only trying to buttress, you know, the skills. I'm trying to, you know, to buttress the smartness that is embedded in them, and how all of these things can be invested for the good of the nation. If we can as well empower, you know, our industries, if we can as well look at how to enhance our production sector, if we can as well look at how going into agriculture, there are so many of these agricultural materials that are, you know, good deeds in the global market. Charcoal as a whole is something that is selling so fast. We have cashew nuts. All of these things are what our government can look into. These are resources that are being used by other nations, you know, in the production of ties. Many of them are using them in the production of body cream and all of that. So we can always look. It's just because our problem fundamentally has been leadership. We have leaders who are not looking in depth. We have leaders who always, once they get into a corridor of power, forget about activities, about, you know, things that will bring succor to the life of the people. But they're now beginning to get euphoria, you know, with the peripherals of office, and forget the key deliverables that we're going to lift the nation forward. You know, many of them are not beginning to look into how to divest our economy, how to enhance the human capacity development of the citizens, how to ensure that our people are contributing likely, you know, to the economy, and hitherto we have enough to export so as to increase our foreign reserves, and which hitherto is going to have effect on our GDP. So it's just because many of them, and you're beginning to now question, is it that they don't know the right thing to do, or they know the right thing and the will is actually not there for them to execute the right thing for the prosperity of the country? So what we just need is to have leadership in engineering. Is that leaders must put on their thinking cap, and they must demonstrate the strong will, you know, in making the nation work. They must demonstrate the strong will in addressing a problem from the root. You know, giving a cosmetic approach to FS, you know, crisis cannot solve the problem. We cannot arrest the situation. We have been beginning to send EFCC to Sabo every time to chase the Bureau de change, you know, rather than looking at, okay, how can we streamline, aside from streamlining the condition and the prerequisite for the operation of the BDC, how can we now ensure that the framework is properly monitored? You know, rather than just chasing them around the street. How can we ensure once we have enough FS in the system, averagely nobody will go to any Sabo to look for FS? If you can approach a registered or an authorized bureau de change that get your transaction consummated. So in as much you are still having the problem of supply more than the demand more than the supply, we cannot see, you know, going to get a powerful way forward on this issue. Thank you, Mr. Convener.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Sekjen. That was very analytical and very, very deep, and you did mention quite a lot about the foreign exchange policy. I know PLIDE Olayiwola has unmuted himself. He probably wants to come in, but let me go to PLIDE Kenny first. I want to ask him the fuel subsidy regime, and I'm going to ask PLIDE Olayiwola about the market, the day-to-day, the bread and butter of the citizens. I've been reading quite a lot on social media. Of course, there's some mischievous people. The people who always post, see the pepper I just bought for 20,000. See the meat, the food I just bought, the rice and beans I just bought, rice and beans plate of food I just bought for 25. A lot of people are mischievous, and you know those who are doing all of that. You know, it's those things. I say to people, a lot of those things are not. Those things, they're not a scattergun approach. Those things are actually funded. You know, there are some people whose day-to-day activity, what they are paid to do is to go on different social media to do certain things. We know those ones. But really, the fact of the matter is, out there on the streets, people are complaining. Things are not really easy in the market. You know, so I want Olayiwola to speak about that, but I'll come to you. Let me go to DSG first. I'll say DSG. The fuel regime, because we started hearing during the week, the news started breaking out again that the smuggling of Nigeria's refined petroleum products, petrol, diesel, kerosene, and they're being smuggled again to the West African sub-region and to Cameroon and other countries around surrounding Nigeria. And this was one of the reasons why the government devalued. I don't know why I keep using the word devalued today, why the government actually had to remove the subsidy on the product in the first instance. And at that time, the people were protesting in Cameroon, protesting in Benin Republic, in Togo, against the government of Nigeria. You know, of course, we have no responsibility for them. They have their own leaders. But now we started smuggling there because of the disparity in the exchange rate. And it does appear that the right pricing for petroleum products has not been achieved again. So we're back to the era of smuggling. What do you see about this? What has gone wrong? What is the solution? Over to you, DSG. Unmute yourself, please, PLIDE Kenny. Okay, I'll leave the SecGen to try to sort that out in the background, but let me go to PLIDE Olayiwola very, very quickly on what is the state of things in the markets in Nigeria today. Has the government fully failed in that area? Are we heading for disaster? What has government gotten wrong about it, and how do we solve this problem?
Thank you very much, convener. The solution is a little bit complex and somehow sometimes simple. It's just a natural phenomenon. Everybody wants to wake up and everything work for them, even without working. It's just in human nature. So we all need some push. We all need some push. And the major problem with our system is that those who want to build, those who want to destroy, are far outweigh those who want to build. That is the situation we find ourselves over time. Let me quickly, before addressing anything, let me quickly touch on the area which my Oga have talked about, that they should stop chasing the district around. The criminal are just too enormous. You cannot continue saying that, waiting for when your policy will be ripe to see the fruit before you start dealing with criminals. The criminals remain criminals. And as you are also planning, as you are distant, they are also planning too. And the building our foreign reserve is not a magic, and there's no any magic hand that's going to do it. It's a gradual process. So for us to get there, before we get there, we cannot continue to leave these criminals to outweigh the system. Because the only solution I see that it can be so quick now is for Dangote refinery to come on stream, for Dangote refinery to come on stream. If we can stop importation of finished petroleum products and other byproducts, whatever have you, we're going to reduce our forest usage at least 40 to 50%. So by so doing, we can now start talking about stabilized foreign reserve. In fact, if not growth. By so doing, we can ask other things, because all these things, all this diversification investment we're talking about, we all need money, we all need funds. It's easy for us to say diversify. Where is the money? Those who are stealing are stealing. And if you touch some of these people, there are people who will come for you. How do you want to say that Abakari got home with a trumpet last some months ago? People, his street will fill up that Abakari returned home. We have an orientation issue. We have a cultural issue that is dealing with us as a nation every day. Summarize, even as a student union president or a student union leader, you go in out there and have a student don't want to pay school fees. They want to stone their president to death for them for it to go and stand for them to make sure that migrant did not make them to pay school fees. They don't want to do exam. They don't want to know how the school is being run. They want to claim right on what is not right. And if you do not do it, you are a bad leader. If you did not give them donuts, what's it called, handouts, then you are a bad leader. Everybody wants a free system, and nothing is free. In reality, come back to your questions. In reality, things are not easy on the streets. But is it a matter of today? These are embedded issues. That's why I said that we believe in self-discipline for a very long time. Almost all our life has been on subsidy. Virtually nobody is paying anything back to the government. No landlord is leasing out his house and give back to the government. Many landlords now in Lagos lease out their house at will. They collect that, they take their tenant, believe I build my house, I buy my so nobody buy for me. But in other countries, it's not like that. There's a token you have to give back. But when they have issue with their tenant, they want to go back to government to solve it for them. A lot is wrong with our system. We so much have this what's mentality? What's it called? Entitlement mentality. Yes, we have given these people some sovereignty that okay, they should protect the system, but at the same time, we should also have it in mind that these people are human. We are also responsible to our nation. We must. I'm facing it. It's not easy for me, my guy. It's not easy for me in any way. It's not damn easy. It's not easy. I'm emphasizing it's not easy. I know what my bank account is reading. I know how much I've invested in a business. I called you sometimes ago. I told you about it. I know how much I've invested, and I can count my loss. What have I gained back from it? I'm struggling every day. Last week I was in Ibadan with a cousin of Commissioner Fayemi helping me in one contact or the other. We are struggling. We are trying to make ends meet, but that does not take up our brain. That does not take up our sense of reasoning. That some persons at the end trying to put some things in order. It's everything. Before you say them, you say what do you being on table? Must always be about table. Must say about food. Can't we just reason for once for the future of our own kids? Must we continue like this? Can the country run like this? How do we expect $30 billion reserve to go around the so-called falsified 200 million population they are claiming that we are? Let's even say we are, at least we are not to 200 million, I think we can be less than 140 to 150 million. How do we sustain? That 30 billion reserve is just one, is with $1 billionaire in America owes it. What more than $30 billion? And we are gassing up and down that we are a rich nation. If we have to diversify, we go to diversify with stone. We have to justify with something. You can't justify without a capital. For us to set up any business that we need a capital. We get to a point in this country that nobody wants to loan us. Nobody wants to get us. We are already our loan to GDP ratio is already at 111.something%. That means that if after we use all our resources to pay, we still have 11 point something deficit. Where do we go from here? Even the state governors too are not also helping. They'll collect their little allocation and they'll take it to forest and go and, like I had before, they will delay salary and go and put it in fixed account. But now they're change pattern. They will go to the change, go and collect this thing and keep it for some time and release it again. And you're frustrating the system, you're frustrating the federal government and everything federal. Yes, and this thing lies the head that wear the crown. Yes, but that's all we should. That's why I said earlier that those who want to bring it down are far outweigh those who want to lift it up. So the only solution I'm seeing this right now is this Dangote refinery and not this Port Harcourt refinery. If the so-called mafia can sort and can be overcome and let those two come on stream, we can now start talking about which other things and which other way forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, PLIDE. I asked you that question because I know you're very much on ground there and wanted to find out, because in fact, when it comes to I know the government in the past week have actually announced quite a number of policies, suspension of duties on food import and quite a few things, pharmaceuticals, just to try to crash the market. But then I'm like, is government entirely? I know government has a lot of blame in this, but what about us as well? because I know the Lagos State government started the food market thing, you know, in answer to these food inflation and food poverty that we're currently experiencing in Nigeria. Even in the midst of that, some of those who came to those food markets, Lagos State food markets, actually bought things and went to sell at higher prices. And even some of the markets where the government partnered, you know, to ensure that, you know, they were given some kind of incentives there and there so that they could sell at particular levels. They reneged after collecting government incentives. They still, you know, sold at very high levels. You know, but having said that, the primary responsibility, the market woman does not have a responsibility for you and I. It is the government that we voted into office, you know, and we can accept no excuses from them. No excuses would actually be good enough. I know the Secretary raised his hand up as we're gradually coming to today is a very special day, so we cannot stretch it to the end so that people can still go and enjoy their Salah and their Father's Day celebration. So, Secretary, let's have you on this.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Convener. Yes, I also want to appreciate my brother, Comrade Olayiwola, you know, and the passion being displayed in his comment and submission. But one thing I want us to understand is this. Let's look at it in this perspective. If you have, today's a Father's Day, and you have your father who consistently come back home to tell you guys there's no money. I want everybody to look at a way in which we are going to endure the pains. You know, people, instead of us eating 3 days, 3 times a day, we might need to reduce it to 1 time. And the second time, you might need to soak gari and use, you know, kuli instead of using fish and all of that. And this same father who tells you this every day, you will see him going to beer parlor to take champagne, to take NSC. He will always come back home drunk. And the following morning, you'll be going to school. Rather than him giving you 500 naira for transport, he will tell you guys, things are a bit difficult. I can only afford to give you 200 naira. And later that same weekend, we see your popsy going into a party where he's going to spray Sonia Ade with 100,000 naira. It does not add up. It doesn't make sense. Our leaders cannot be telling citizens to endure the pains while the cost of governance is on the high side. You cannot be telling us to endure pains and of hardship while you are beginning to allocate SUVs for senators, for governors on daily basis. You cannot begin to tell us that the country is broke when, you know, the government recently purchased yachts for presidency. You cannot tell us that the country is broke.
Did the government go ahead to purchase the yacht?
That Porsche, you can please confirm it, Mr. Convener. The Porsche,
I thought it's been cancelled.
The yacht has been purchased at the back end. Yes.
Okay.
So you cannot begin to tell us that we are broke when in June 2023, immediately we got into this current administration, FAC was 1.1 trillion. And now, as we speak, they share 2.07 trillion as at February 2024. And you're beginning to tell us there's no money. You're beginning to tell us that we are broke. Our leaders need to put on their thinking cap. Rather than putting in money, you know, the excess that we've saved from subsidy proceed, rather than giving it to governors and the local government sharing it on a daily basis, some account, you know, changing this money to FX, divest, put this excess money into capital infrastructure that we will beginning to see the effect within the next 2 years. You cannot build something on nothing. Where you are not looking into the sector that will divest our economy to put us in the roadmap of having an increased foreign reserve. Once you are not putting attention into it, you cannot reap anything from there in the next 1 year. You know, if you are beginning to do what we call akpakpin in Yoruba language, the way you are making it, you are just sharing it within yourself without looking into sector, without looking into areas that is going to give us dividends of democracy in the years to come. We are not still going to see anything. Nigeria, in as much that we are saying Nigeria is broke, but we can invariably also tell us that Nigeria has what it takes. We recently got grants, you know, from IMF. And if you also need to be aware, on a monthly basis, the government made over, 2 to 7 billion from stamp duties, the stamp duty they charge you and me when we receive transactions, when we receive inflow of over 10,000 naira into our money, into our account, or when we make transactions from our account. These stamp duties, the government makes billions of naira from this every month. And looking into that again, you know, our people in the postal services, they know how much they've generated for the government since the beginning of this year. Customers also increase the level at which they generate money for the government. So in that too, we are beginning to see increase in the way the government generates income. If you are beginning to now feel increase and everybody are coming out to say, okay, last year we made so amount of money, we have a projection to increase our revenue to government with 20 or 15%, where are we now seeing the effect of this increase in the revenue generation? If you are beginning to increase, rather than them increasing the cost of governance, make life better for citizens. I can tell you for fact, in Ekiti State, 5 tubers of yam were being sold for 15,000 naira to 20,000 naira. It's a fact. 5 tubers of yam, yes.
So effectively 3,000 or 4,000 per tuber.
A tuber, yes.
Just a tuber of yam.
Yes, because I have my grannies there. So I can tell you for free what they are facing. Now you go there to get 5 pieces of tomato for 1,200 naira in Ekiti. You see, you know, like 7 pieces of avarodo, you know, for 1,000 naira. So life is not bearable. You know, life is beginning to be unbearable. The costs of living in Nigeria, as we speak right now in our society, is crazy. You cannot tell an hungry man to, you know, to endure the pain while you yourself, you are living in luxury. While you yourself are living in affluence. You as the leader, we are expected to take leadership by example. If indeed our country is broke, we need to begin to feel it from our leaders, not them still living and sustaining their lifestyle, but wishing to us to continue to endure hardship. It does not add up. It does not add up. You cannot build something on nothing. It's until when they are beginning to look in that direction that our nation can have a better outlook. It is when they are beginning to look at, rather than giving money to state and them increasing, you know, on monthly basis, there have been gradual increase in what they share in fact, rather than looking at that excesses and investing it into capital infrastructure that will give us a better lifestyle, a better way of life within the next 1 year. If they are beginning to do the same thing over and over again, they cannot. It is infutility and it is in stupidity to assume that they will have a different result. They must do things differently if you also want to reap something in the nearest future. Thank you.
Well, let me come back to that. You've already spoken about what they need, but let's break it down. What does government need to do? And I believe we have PLIDE back on video, because ask what exactly, because look, I know we've already pointed out all these things that they're not doing exactly well, but if we can break it down, how can government bring down the prices of foods and commodities in the market? How can government do it? Because people are suffering. In fact, when you speak with people down there about even buying drugs, medicines, I've mentioned that already today. You know, it's really people are struggling to because if you're you know, we heard the other time that there's some teachers in a particular state in a particular region of Nigeria, they're being paid 8,000 naira a month. We read it, whether it's true or not, but we've not had it delivered, denied by the state government. But let's even say you're on 30,000 per month, and you've got to buy food for your family. So you're effectively, what you're saying is at 3,000 naira per tuber of yam, just on the average now, whoever it is will be able to only buy 10 tubers of yam. You know, okay, let's even say you buy 3 tubers. If you have children who eat like locusts during holiday, for example, bless them, we were once like them, and we ate like no man's business. We ate our parents' money like no man's business as well. So it's natural that our own children too come around, and we got to take care of them. So basically, how do they survive? I know PLIDE Okunuga is raising his hand up. Yes, let's have you on this. Go on. PLIDE Okunuga.
Thank you, the convener. First, let me quickly speak on the first question you asked about smugglers. You know, people taking out our oil to neighboring countries. I think this is just a visual, you know, of any human being, any greedy human being, you know, who wants to to take opportunity, who is saying that, there's a better place you can actually explore. So that's what is happening. But then the presidency or the government, is not unaware of some of these issues. The issues of, loose borders, insecurity, smugglers on the sea, and these issues are as old as this country, as a country, Nigeria. And we only need, a strong decision, determination. We need a resolve, from the president to say, see, this is not about the next election. This is not about politics. This is not about patronizing you. We have to do what is right for the country. And it is on that we're standing. Apart from that, we are not, really going to go far beyond this. We can move, some inches, but we are not really going to go far, because a country is developed, with, strong determination and decisions, from people, from those who are leading them. And this is the leadership problem. We have seen countries, who have had to pass through this same situation and have survived it and are now better off. And secondly, the question you asked that how can we force down the prices of commodities? The price of commodities, are strongly affected by insecurity, by the cost of production, fuel, transportation, and by this dollar and naira disparity. A farmer in the village of my mom also buys a Samsung television that is being brought from the United States into Nigeria. It is the same market. So when people say that, I saw a video that the secretary was referring to, that some elders, some chiefs in Adjekiti went into a market and they were saying, they were questioning those market women why they were selling 2 or 3 pieces of product, at 200 naira. There is a great factor. But then these people, the children of these people are also patronizing the same market that a CEO, that senators are patronizing. So it is the same market. And everybody, it is not that the price cannot come down, but because of the crass inequality in our system, the inequality is so much, the gap is so much that the poor is doing everything possible, to jack up his finance to be able to meet up with his daily needs. And that is where that is an area, that the problem is coming from. So by and large, the cost of things will come down when government is able to fix insecurity. Thank God there is improvement recently. It's been so rare these days to read or to hear that that people are invading farms. So yes, that is one of the areas that we can commend this government on. But then the government has to do more. Fix insecurity, people will go back to farm, encourage agriculture, subsistence agriculture. People will not need those people who go to the market to go and buy rodo can actually plant the rodo by themselves. When I was very young, 1997, 1998, 1999, 2000, when we would close, in our secondary school during vacation and we would have to go to our grandma, everything we will eat for lunch is on the farm in our compound. Subsistence. I and my twin brother will practically plant all these things. We will plant pineapple. We will plant maize. We will plant efo. And we will plant some of these things. We will plant rodo. So people should actually take responsibility and see some of these things, and see certain ways they can ease themselves of certain problems. A teacher who earns 70,000 naira in a month or 100,000 in a month does not have any reason going to market to buy rodo if he has a farm. And even if he's going to go to the market to buy these things, it is not everything that you need as per agriculture that you have to go to the market to buy. So we can actually deal with some of these things. There's a former senator in Ekiti State, and I'm quite very well, impressed with some of the news I'm hearing from him recently. Senator Judu, he actually said during the last election that instead of him supporting Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they will return to the farm. The man is now on the farm. He spends, a large percentage of his days in the farm, and that is the senator. Someone who is rich, who is wealthy, is on the farm planting. How much more? Those whose salary, can hardly cater for their needs in a month, and who have larger spans of farmland in their villages, around them, but cannot explore. Some of the times then, before I came here, that I would go to village, and I would see, of course, then the awareness is not as much as this, but then I would see farmland unoccupied by anything, bushes, and those who live in that village will still go to a market, travel to a market to buy things that they can plant on their farm. This same mentality is what is affecting our production economy, our production sector, where we continue to bring into Nigeria some of the things that we can actually produce ourselves. We have engineers in the country. We want to see them go beyond repairing television to actually inventing television. We want to see them going beyond repairing radios, bicycles, to actually producing some of these things. There will be mistakes, there will be errors initially, but we will improve over time. Year 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, Chinese phone was a big problem in Nigeria. When you see any product from China, you will know it is from China. But people continue to use them. And those guys did not stop producing. They continue to produce. They continue to compete, against nations like America, against nations like Germany, against nations like Japan, who are tech savvy, who are tech sound. And today you can compare their products. Their products are not only durable, their products are cheap, their products are quality. But this improvement they did not come about, all these improvements in one day. These are things that happen, within, in a long time, but they are committed to it. So I want to see a people, I want to see a nation that is actually committed with goals. I want to see a nation that is actually committed to developing itself beyond these things. These are not problems that should be holding a country of over 200 million to ransom. A country that has, the largest expanse of, land in the entire West Africa. Let me not say Africa, so that I don't miss my line. For just for the figure's sake, I don't want to be emphatic about it. But of course, we have all these things. So let's solve all these issues. We will begin to live well. We will begin to live well. People spend much money on what they can actually get in their backyard. The road from Lagos to Ibadan, is fair now. Like I said the other time, it means that some villages in Igboora, where the mother of my wife came from, the farmers there can now be proud. They can be confident and courageous in bringing their farm products out of that Igboora in Oyo State to go and sell in Lagos. Do we also know that people every day come from Cotonou, Port Novo to Lagos to buy cloth, to buy some of these agricultural products, and they take to their country to sell? The distance between Cotonou and Lagos is not more than the distance between Lagos, and some parts of Oyo State or Ogun State. I have been to Port Novo, I have been to Cotonou, and I have seen situations here in the night when some of us will be sleeping. The people of Port Novo, the people of Cotonou will be, just permit me to say it in Yoruba, you know, they will be like one Georgia, like they will bring clothes from Lagos into their country, you know, and you know that's when they will start, you know, offloading, unloading, and distributing. You know, we have these things. The world can actually rely on us. If the world, if a certain part of the world can rely on our healthcare professionals, can rely on our accountants, can rely on our, you know, tech people, they can rely on us in other areas, even in the area of leadership. We can take over the world. We can take over the world, but we have to be serious about it and be committed to this goal. It is possible.
Thank you so much, DSG. Thank you so much. That was, as usual, really deep and touching to the heart of the issue. We will be rounding off in just about 3 minutes. I was hoping we would have even rounded off before now, but let's give Abiola Olaiwola 2 minutes to say have his closing statement, and then the section within 1 minute to round off for us tonight.
Yeah, thank you once again. I think the solution is not far-fetched. All the governors, as far as they are collecting big allocation from the federal government now, which to some extent I think is not right. But to forget the fact that the Constitution of Nigeria does not give the federal government any power to do otherwise. Because under the former governor Jonathan, they have to go to court, and the court makes it known. You cannot hold back any money without the approval of the state in the name of federal government. The states are so powerful, very powerful. So as much as we cannot change the status quo now, any money they are getting out from the federal, this thing should be judiciously used. We cannot all be blaming the president, Mr. President. Mr. President does not have access to land. The last time I checked, the Land Use Act is control and is within the residual this thing of the governor. And if we have to go mass agricultural revolution, it has to begin with the states. If the federal control, the states can still do a lot of things underneath that to make it forge. I know of a guy that said that even in Salvador or this thing, that states are flooding the federal government and African bank with some private farms claiming to own by a state, that they plan what's it called, wheat of so thousands of acres, and which is a lie.
States defrauded.
You know, our states defrauded African
development
went
bank.
to African bank, development bank, and go and show a private land owner again farmland. Going into that, because those farmland is owned by the only way whatever planting what's it called wheat. States have to go and collect money. You know, this is how this state does. You federal government today now give them money that okay, take money, go there, will not still do it. So we have to seek for this. Each citizen of different of states have to take their governor accountable for this food famine we are experiencing now. The solution cannot come from the federal. I insist. The solution to this hunger cannot come. Even if we remove Tinubu today, the problem of hunger will continue until the state governors do the needful because they control the land. Until they are genuine, until they allow our local government to function. If that is the only thing local government is doing for us, so be it. Let's have our independent local government. Let local government have authority over their territory. Let them be able to finance agriculture fully, massively. We're going to have change. We don't have reasons, like my brother said, that we don't have any reasons to be somebody who is a teacher to come be buying what's it called? Buying pepper, buying this thing. At the back of his house, you should have a mini, but the economy have to come from leadership, from around, you know. So these are fundamental issues, and I will still insist that the solution is clear, is close. By the time Dangote and Port Harcourt refinery come on stream, we have a relative this thing on national level. But state level, I think we have to hold our state governor accountable. State governor accountable. State governor accountable. They have enough money for the federal. The federal are trying its best for them. Before they cannot pay salary, Before they are crying, there's no money. Before they are going to collect loan here and there. Now the money is there. Now the federal government has mop up, like my guy said, tax here, tax there, this and that. They should translate it. The president himself challenge them. Sometimes they go in fire video. He challenge them himself. Talk to your governors. I've increased that. The parents have already told us this. We don't need to even do for solution anywhere. As put them on the spot. So it's best for us to take them up and let them do the needful.
Thank you so much, PLIDE. We need to talk about this again because I'm seeing the passion from all of you. Something needs to be done. I know you talked about people growing things in their garden, but those who live in the high-rise building somewhere on Eric Moore in Surulere, they have no garden to plant, but they have the right to eat food. But so we need to have this conversation again. Thank you so much. Dear Sergeant, can you round up in 1 minute so we can close and people can go eat their salami? Once again, I want to wish everyone, our viewers and our friends out there, the happy Salah and happy Father's Day today, and of course, happy Democracy Day, which was just a few days back. Sergeant, over to you to close the session for tonight.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Convener. I want to also sincerely appreciate my brothers, Biola Olayiwola and Kenny Ogunuga, for their powerful submissions. In my own view, what our leaders and our government need to do is just to display a high sense of will, so as to attack and tackle this problem that's confronting us. And again, they need to do away with insincerity in leadership. If now, at a time we had the history in this country, they came together to say that they wanted local and state policing. At a time, they unanimously agreed that they wanted subsidy to go. Why can't they unanimously agree that there must be massive industrialization in our country? Why can't they massively agree at the level of the Governors Forum that they want government to dedicate, to give proper and adequate attention to agricultural revolutions across the country? If it were issues that will better their lot, that will bring money to deposits, it is easier for them to unanimously agree and make and have a common front. But now we have challenges about hunger. There's need for us to go into agricultural revolution. There's need for us to have massive industrialization. They need to also put away sincerity in leadership and put their attention on the issues that will better the life and the welfare of an average Nigerian. That is what we want from them. As citizens at every point in time should make it a point of duty of holding their leaders accountable. Let us challenge them. Let us ask them questions. Let us probe how they are spending the allocations and the increment in the allocation that are being given to the state government and the local government. I think at this time, we need to also hold them accountable, while they also on their part to display a sense of duty, diligence, and sincerity in addressing the fundamental issues that is confronting us as a people. Thank you, everyone, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much. That was excellent. Have a wonderful night, everyone. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your evening and have fun. God bless you. See you again upon weekend. Bye.